सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। कटाक्षकिरणाचान्त नमन्मोहाब्धये नमः। अनन्तानन्दकृष्णाय जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये। विज्ञानविरतिः सुप्तिः। पेज 44, श्लोका number 12. Are we all on same page? विज्ञानविरतिः सुप्तिः तज्जन्म स्वप्नजागरौ तात्साक्षिणः कथं मे स्युः। नित्यज्ञानस्य ते त्रयः I keep getting different messages, different posts saying, Baba, this Advaita Makaranda is so tough. The effort of the Kavi or myself or Guruji's commentary is not to make it look tough or to make it complex for our lives are enough complicated already. But the standpoint that he is taking is there is Atma, Anatma. How Atma cannot be that Anatma? By taking the standpoint that I am Brahman anyways. In Tattva Bodha there was a simple one sentence logic given. That was just an introduction. Now to substantiate that with much deeper depth so that it establishes unshakably, we have to delve deeper into it. So all the logic that he is giving is just doing two things. If that baseline is understood, then the rest of it can be easily aligned to that baseline. One, Atma and Anatma are distinct. One is in a projected reality and the other is the substratum of that projected reality. Atma, Anatma. And the nature of Brahman is beautifully explained and proving that this Atma Chaitanya is verily that Brahman. That is the baseline. Now, whichever shloka that we read, my effort is to align it to these two standpoints. It's as simple and straightforward as that. There are several different kinds of, say, mathematical equations to prove certain things. An expert is that one who knows all those equations, all those approaches to reach to that baseline. It is that methodical, that step-by-step logical approach. For example, this Pratibimba Chaitanya. Because in Gurudev's commentary he has constantly mentioned, in his lectures he has constantly mentioned just reflected consciousness. Here there is more strength added to it to understand what exactly is the nature of that reflected consciousness. Very simple. Reflected consciousness means the following things have to be in place. Just like when I stand in front of a mirror in a dark room, I would not know that there is a mirror, hence therefore no reflection in it, even though I am standing right in front of it. Sometimes when the light is suddenly turned on and you see your own reflection, you get startled. You get like shaken. Oh, that is me only. Because of the suddenness. So in that reflection, there has to be a reflecting surface. You, the reflecting surface, both have to be illumined by a source. This much is easy, day-to-day experience. Similarly, that all-pervasive Chaitanya principle, conscious principle, existential principle, Sadvastu, it exists and it consciously exists. Both are synonyms. Both are talking about the same Vastu. That existential conscious principle is illumining. It's all pervading. As soon as there is the pinda conceived, the sperm and ovum, they come together, there is a pinda born. Pinda meaning it is mere flesh at that point. In that there is structure that develops. In that structure there is, as soon as the possibility of the antakarana to be accommodated, which happens around the end of third month. That is why the third month is to be celebrated, and we do Simantam, because that Jivatva has now come to being. But for whatever reasons you cannot, then at least do it on the 5th or the 7th month. So the idea is in the third month you do it. So क्या कहते हैं हिंदी में? गोद भराई. In US, in third, 4 months, not that they know this principle, they have a celebration, but that celebration is to pass on the shopping list So that, there are different shops catering to the mother to be. So to ease out on that family, they say that we are now announcing. And thereby when you come to celebrate, if you want to help, this is the list that we want. The shopping list is given to them and they check it out, and it is useless if you bring something which is not useful. These are the things useful, bring them. They call it baby shower. Showering the baby with gifts. Blessings, Devudu erugu. What I see, what I have seen is what I am saying. Gifts, showering with gifts. And good wishes may be added in for good amount. So when that mass of flesh takes a form, and in that form the antakarana opens up, vyakta, it becomes vyakta. In that vyakta antakarana, the all-pervading conscious existential principle reflects. Why? Because of the subtlety of the nature of the intellect. Here, several steps are happening. First step, it is reflecting. As soon as that reflection occurs, it gets enlivened. Enlivened meaning the intellect gets activated. As soon as it gets enlivened, there is an identity established. That this where there is the reflection, enlivening happening. First step, reflection. Second step, enlivening, activated. Third step, identity established. All three of them occur. Is this much clear? Then the next, it induces this, all three, that the enlivening, the reflected aspect of the conscious, the enlivening and the identity gets induced into the next grosser layers, the mind, the antakarana and the organs of perception and action, and further extend to the world of things and beings. My mother, my father, my toys, my chair, my this, my that. Though we have grown both in all three axes from that stage, X, Y and Z axis, meaning tall, round, all axes we have grown. The concept of I and my still remain. The things that I am attached to or not attached to change. That is the life story of that identified entity which we call as Jivatva. Now going back to the step where it gets reflected. The reflected consciousness does not just mean the reflection, does not just mean enlivening, does not just mean the identity. There are several factors that have to be included in calling it as Jivatva, wherein the reflection cannot happen without the presence of that all-pervasive Chaitanya Tattva. So that is the first thing to be there. Second, the reflecting surface has to be there. The enlivenment has to happen. The identity has to be established. All of these when included with the conglomerate of extension of the mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, the antakarana, the internal organs, the external organs, the prana, and the outside field of all of these put together. There is an identity, extension of that identity. All of this go into the forming of jivatva, the individuality. All the steps clear? From the outside field of extension, it is easier than the inside field of experience to detach from. I can clearly see that these are the things I have been attached to, now I am not attached to. These are the new things that now I am getting attached to. I have seen several beings, several things that have moved on. I have also moved on. I am not that. To understand it is easy. The internal field of experience becomes a little difficult, because while being attached to it and working and being that which I am attached to, I am trying to detach from it. If the clarity is there, the conviction to detach is instantaneous. See, to play with the child, there are so many things that you can do. One day their mother was trying to feed the child, and the child was, every time the food was brought in, थोड़े नखरे कर रहा था. It's a tiny tot, maybe 1.5, 2-year-old. He has learnt few words. Amma, Nana, no. So every time the food is brought in, no, he would move. I was standing there, I had a funny thought. I said, let me experiment. And my own mischievous mind, so I said, let me experiment. So I took that spoon with which the child is being fed. There was a shadow of that child. I started paying attention to the shadow. Take that food to that shadow, appreciate the shadow, good boy. And this fellow feeling neglected. 1.5, 2-year-old. After third attempt, he looks at me with a serious stare. अब आया ऊंट पहाड़ के नीचे. And then when I had to tell something and for that child not to, so I would look at the shadow and slap the shadow. This fellow becomes serious. Oh, this is not something that I should be doing, because the shadow is getting slapped. I don't want that repercussion on me. It continued. The mother used that technology for a few months. Then when the child realizes that is a shadow which means nothing, now she had to improvise after that. The shadow, what validity does it have? Just to tease that kid, while taking a walk, I would literally go jump on the shadow. As though to take a revenge, he would, with the tiny steps, walk all the way where my shadow is. He would jump on my shadow and then look at me. क्या तुम भी कर सकते, हम भी कर सकते. नी shadow tokki said. That age it looks cute. It brings a smile even when we are sharing that. As much as that shadow has a validity, I have to be there, the light has to be there, therefore the shadow is there. If something happens to the shadow, nothing happens to me. Very clear, very distinct, very understandable. Similarly, in the presence of that conscious principle which is illumining, this fellow is a pseudo entity identified. So several logics are being taken to get across past our wrong convictions, wrong conclusions. To not just dilute them, but to evaporate them. But our identity is so strong, it resists at every turn and twist. As long as I feel and have a conviction that aham dehaha, aham manaha, aham buddhi, trying to detach from it becomes difficult. Therefore, the concept being given, naham. And the logic provided substantiates it, thereby making me think, act, behave and interact not as a body, mind and intellect. As a Vedantic sadhak, that has to be the priority. What is manana? To take all this that is given to us, supported to us through Shravana, is to make sure that in my day-to-day practice, in my field of not just the experience, now the experience has become the field of experiment. I am constantly evaluating and experimenting with it. See, have you shifted from one area to the other area, one city to the other city? Has it ever happened? So when you move from this city to the next city, you have to find a house. You find first a parameter, a priority list. As a parent, what is your first thought? Even before school, it has to be a good, safe neighborhood. And in that should be closer to the good school, not a school. It has to be a good school. And with whatever your limitations, 1 kilometer, 5 kilometer, whatever is the range, depending on the traffic and the commute, you have a parameter. And within that parameter, now you add other. How far is it from my office? How far is it from my spouse's office? How far is it from the local market? How far is it from the good hospital? Supposing you have parents that are aging, they have different sets of things that have to be taken care. The hospital has to be near, the doctors have to be near. How many possible angles do you do that kind of evaluation? Right? All possible angles. Then the house itself. I need a room. Spouse needs. These days people work from home. And both cannot work from the same space. But they'll have meetings, they'll have serious discussions. One should not be disturbing the other. The children, the studying also, they should not get disturbed because of my meetings or her meetings or the children's happening, not to be disturbing. Oh, when the Zoom started, it was like a hilarious thing. We will be having a serious meeting. And you know, Indians are Indians anywhere. और पीछे से उनके पिताजी आ जाते हैं, शर्ट नहीं, कुछ नहीं, हाँ बेटा मैं मीटिंग में हूँ, कपड़े भी नहीं पहने आपने, जाओ. Sometimes the children come. They don't care if you are in a meeting or not. You need those parameters. How many rooms are required? How many segments of that rooms can be made? How accessible it is? Is there water? Is there electricity? Is there ventilation? Is there enough light? Is it a dark dungeon somewhere? Or is it something which is... And then finally, does it come in my range? All of these parameters, how much processing have you done? And as you go visit different houses, first online that fellow sends you several links, and then you start evaluating. That fellow also putting pressure. Swami, chai, they le lo, ye le lo, ye le lo. You say, boss, let me decide. Let me go through it. Don't put the pressure. Your job is to bring. My job is to evaluate. That fellow is like, the least amount of time that I can spend with the customer so that I can catch next customer. So the pressures are there. The office pressure is there. The spouse pressure is there. The children's pressure is there. So much of evaluation. With respect to the move and the shift, you are doing manana. You get the point? And how is that manana? Paritaha, from all possible angles. Similarly, when this wisdom is given, when this knowledge is given, for it to change into wisdom, I take it to my life and start applying it. Application how? The basic standpoint being, all of these are my instruments. Am I behaving as the instrument, or am I functioning through the instrument? There's a huge leap. Then we add one more layer of support. Function as the instrument of Bhagavan. So many of us have picked up that layer, tag, and say, Nademundandi. It's all Gurudev's Kripa. Though on one side we say it is Gurudev's Kripa, in that we keep eagerly waiting for an opportunity to say so. There is still that recognition sought. A tough task, because the identity is the security that we have. Now to drop that security, it requires a lot of courage. Where will that courage be born? First, it has to be the viveka, the clarity. That clarity has to come into conviction. The conviction will come into courage. Viveka meaning clarity. Clarity has to boil down to become unshakable conviction. And that conviction expresses forth as dhairya. In Sanskritam, the word dhairya, which is roughly translated as courage, does not mean boldness. It means patience. In the Hindi ancient wisdom, we talk about two aspects together. There has to be Shraddha and there has to be Saburi. Saburi meaning Sabra. Sabra meaning Patience. When somebody is like lot of, pariplutaihi, phudakra both. So what do you say? Hey bhai, thoda sabr rakhna. Meaning have some patience. That is called dhairya. The boldness to face is the byproduct of that patience. Meaning what? Boldness without this patience is futile. See, I came into this environment here about 3-4 months ago. When people started giving me the feedback as to this, I said, everything will be done in due course of time. Until then, you want to consume the entire plate of food, South Indian thali, whichever thali, Rajasthani thali, Gujarati thali, Marwadi thali, whatever it is. You cannot gulp everything down in one stretch. Even in Maya Bazar, Gatotkaja had to do one after the other. Am I getting across? One step at a time. So one thing that I am highly influenced by, highly impacted by, and it triggers several domino effects in my life, take that. Highest priority of disturbance, agitation that can be created to the lowest priority, prioritize it. About in 95, 96, after my Vedanta course, I said I had to have a to-do list. At that point, I had about 35, 36 on my priority list that I have to work on myself. In these many years, I can say it has reduced to 2 now. The priority list has to be put. You have to start working diligently at it. It will take time. Why will it take time? Because it is me. I am the most stubborn idiot on the surface of earth. It takes time to get that conviction, and that conviction translate into dhairya. One by one layer has to be worked at. All the logic that is being provided is so that we can strengthen from within, so that that clarity is impeccable clarity. Because from there the flow chart begins. For the Uttamadhikari, the prepared one who has done enough in karma yoga, enough in upasana, is prepared. Recently I was in the Bombay Vedanta course. So on the last day, the rest of the days, first day I went and met the Acharya, Advaita, and I asked him what is expected of me, what is the depth that I have to handle. So he gave me an outline. At the end of it, after the last lecture was done, I met him somewhere. I said, I need 5 minutes. He said, come Swamiji, come right now. So I went. I said, thank you. He said, no, I have to thank you. No, let me thank you first. Why? It is a joy to deliver something with such depth to a prepared environment. The vocabulary is prepared, the siddhanta is prepared, the steps of logic is prepared, that I don't have to prepare at each stage the mind, that listener, and then carry them along. They're already done. All that I have to do is put the connectors and take it to the next level. If I refer to Mundakopanishad, Mandukyopanishad or Prashnopanishad or various Prakarana Granthas, they have already studied through it. So when I refer to saying Angushta Matra Purushaha, so I look at them. Where is it from? This Upanishad. These Upanishads. So what is the difference between this Angushta Matra Purusha said in this Upanishad, that Upanishad, and this reference in the Prakarana Grantha? So this is what is this layer, this is what is this layer, this is what is this layer. The subtle difference between each. I don't have to prepare it each step and then take them along with every logic. It's a prepared set. To that, when the delivery is made, the depth and the penetration is far deeper. I said the joy of delivering it to such prepared environment, you hardly face or you hardly go through that in the outside yajnas and other places. That joy, these 8 days, was cherishable. Meaning what? You have done your job, a great task. They have done their job in memorizing it, understanding it, logically laying it out. Of the 37 students, I would say at least about 30 of them were at par. And in that, when I see those 5-6 faces, they are like twitching and turning. What are you referring to? Then I quickly give that reference point and they catch up. That is the kind of preparedness wherein the manana done, the points taken, those points applied into the fields that I am working. Applied meaning we always think about my interaction with the outside. But more focus should be of a Vedanta sadhaka is as what? From what state of my own conclusion am I functioning from? That clarity eases out so many things. See, as soon as I came here, I said several people. The school people started coming. That Swamiji this, Swamiji that. I said, not now. There is enough on my plate that has to be sorted out. Because once I give a commitment to them, it is not a day, it is not 2 days, it is not a month. It is a year-long process. That was something which would demand a lot of time, a lot of commitment to it. Finally, last week, I asked Amma to come, Girvaniam, and I said, let us sit down. So from this week onwards, that also taken. Prioritize. One after the other. What is the highest priority? That which you cannot neglect. That which you cannot afford to not pay attention to the least. And start working your way through. How do you apply yourself and functioning from what platform? As the subtlety of that platform changes, the quality of your experience also changes. Re-establishing the feedback loop. That is very important, right? Supposing you have given somebody a task. Do this. There has to be a feedback loop wherein they have to revert back and say, I have attempted, I have seen, I have been able to, I have not been able to. That has to be communicated. Otherwise, there is a gap. Even to your own intellect, one has to give that feedback. Okay, this experiment, this is where it has been functional, this is where it has not been functional, this is where I have seen the shift. I have tried, but I think I still lack some clarity. Come back to the platform, reorganize your clarity, strengthen your clarity, and then get back. Now, if this kind of understanding is established, every pointer given goes into strengthening that clarity from within, so that my functionality, that framework shifts. Otherwise, we passively listen and that framework still remains the same. And then we blame Vedanta saying, no change has happened, I've been listening to. How can it happen? The chair is also listening. It is a mute witness. In the night when everybody is gone, they don't rearrange themselves and dance. I have realized. How many satsangas they must have heard. That effort has to be there. Is the framework understood again? Now going to the shloka. Vijñānaviratiḥ suptihi. Continuing from the earlier shloka. The earlier shloka said, Suptaha suptim na janati. Vijñānaviratiḥ. Now he is taking the sample or the standpoint from Vijñāna. See that nipata, the added prefix, right? If it is in the beginning. So the prefix that is added, vi, it can mean various things. Here, vividha jnana. Vijñāna, see, in 9th chapter when he says, even in the 7th chapter when he says, jnanam vijñāna sahitam, there that vijñāna is completely different. Vishesha vikhyata jnana. Here, vividha jnana. Jnana of multitude. The objective field of knowledge. And it comes with its multitude of shades. So if you take a mango, a small mango which is still, the inside seed has not yet formed, उसको क्या बोलते हैं? कैरी बोलते हैं. It is yet to grow. But they make, in Tamil Nadu, they make a good pickle out of it. A simple one, not a complicated one like avakaya, just simple. Then there is a fully grown but still raw. Then there is fully grown ripe. Then there is, the next is fully grown and yet, not attempted to eat, it starts losing its structure. It starts becoming gooey. You cut and the knife doesn't penetrate through. Why? There is nothing substantial to support it so that it can cut through. Then comes dark patches on it. Within that, there are so many varieties, so many variations. All of this vividhatva. This is just one mango that I have taken. Within that mango, how many varieties are there? How many different names, how many different kinds of mangoes are there? Each one has these different stages. All of this multitude included. The objective world of, field of knowledge. Vijñāna viratihi. Viratihi, completely withdrawn from this multitude, is called deep sleep. There is absolutely no multitude there, because the receptors have fallen asleep. Not only the receptors, but also the receiver, the ego, also asleep. How can that be? The reflecting surface is itself unavailable. Then where is the one that functions on that reflection of the reflecting surface to be identified with? When the mirror is not there, the reflection is not there. So all of it is withdrawn. So what is Sushupti Avastha? That where there is no multitude of vividhatva of jnana. Another way to look at that nipata, the prefix of V, is vritti jnana. All this vividhatva is received with inside to be understood as a thought. All this thought knowledge is not happening. That state of my experience where this vritti jnana of the vividhatva is non-functional, that state of my being is called deep sleep. We have heard deep sleep with different definitions. There is one more angle added to it. And then he says, tatsākṣiṇaḥ svapnajāgarau. When this vividhatva vritti jnana starts taking place, then either it is a swapna avastha or it is a jagrata avastha. What is the difference? In jagrata avastha, it is the organs of perception and action with the outside field of objects, that is called jagrata avastha. In swapna avastha, there is no organs of perception and action functional. It is all from the memory of that, from the vasana of that antakarana, which gets projected into vividhatva vritti jnana. It's a hodgepodge. But even that hodgepodge is a vividhatva and it is a vritti jnana. It is a thought. When this vividhatva vritti jnana comes into being, then I experience either the waking or the dream. The absence of it is called sushupti. Starting from tattva bodha, the definition of jagrat swapna sushupti, then to atma bodha, jagrat swapna sushupti, viveka chudamani, jagrat swapna sushupti. Now one more angle added to it. In Kannada they would say ashte. Ashte means ante. Bas ittaich. We already have a structure. This is going in the corporate segment, they are fleshing it out. Meaning they are strengthening that by giving it more logical strength, more reasoning given to it. So the vividhatva vritti jnana, when it is non-functional, sushupti, when it is functional, it is jagrat or swapna avastha, waking world or the dream world. Now, whether there is this vividhatva vritti jnana absorbed, deep sleep, or functional, he says, tatsākṣiṇaḥ kathaṃ syurnityajñānasya. That who is witnessing and the constant witness, how can these vritti vividhatva jnana belong to this sakshi, and that which does not, all these attributes, that which does not belong to, how can they impact me, the sakshi? How beautifully explained. From what? from the standpoint of the vividhatva vritti jnana lakshana. One is non-functional state, one is functional state. Both are being illumined and witnessed by me, the conscious principle. How can these attributes of non-functional state or the functional state impact me, let alone drag me into that samsara? Kathaṃ me syuhu? How does it even belong to me? Why? What am I? Tatsākṣiṇaḥ nityajñānasya. This is not coming going jnana. It is a continuous presence. That which is discontinued comes and goes, happens and ceases to be. I am not happening or ceasing to be. I am, and I constantly persist to exist. Do we at least logically see it? How can I be that which is constantly fluctuating? I am the one that is illumining the fluctuation. See, the freedom is knowing that that which I am interacting with the outside world in my Jagrad Avastha is constantly fluctuating. I am the conscious which is not fluctuating. Can I get carried away by those fluctuations once I am aware, fully looking at it? Can I get impacted or bogged down by it? Weighed down by it? Can I say, "Bahut tension hai baba." Why? There's so many things piled up and I am feeling the pressure of it. Yeah, but those are fluctuating happenings. And that which is fluctuating happening, that which is the fluctuating happening of the projected reality, not even, it doesn't even have its vastavika satta. Vastavika satta meaning? It does not have the substantiality of being real. How can that pressure me the real? Once I understand that that is its nature. The amount of freedom with which you function, there is no fear of it. There is no anxiety of it. Why? There is no doubt about it. See, when we go to the college talks, I am talking the same subject, but with the relevance of their application in their life. I am not talking anything different, but the amount of dosage as to how much they can handle. There are first preliminary things as an interactive questions. When I ask their answers and the clarity behind the answers, I evaluate how much dosage has to be given. Even the doctor goes to the patient, checks, evaluates, checks the pulse, checks the BP, checks the sugar levels. Now they understand. Medicine to dena hai. It is not the over-counter wherein it is pre-prescribed and there is a dosage already there. It has to be specific. So the dosage is decided. Have you not heard me speak about clarity, conviction, courage, commitment? Have you not heard about dealing with anxiety, fear, regrets and doubts? Those will not exist. Why? Because the understanding is that these are transient, that they keep coming and going. But transient from what standpoint? From the vritti vividhatva jnana, vishesha jnana. At one stage it is non-functional. The other two stages it is functional but very, very transient in nature. And that functional, non-functional is of a projected reality. So many layers of it being my own evaluation that it does not have the substantiality of reality to it. That which is not having the substantiality of reality to it, kathaṃ syurnityajñānasya, how can it impact me, let alone pressure me? Knowing this and still interacting, you are free. There is no pressure, there is no anxiety. Am I getting across? Is it making tangible sense too? The internal framework, when it changes, the sense of freedom, the sense of fearlessness with which you can function. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा होगा क्या है? At the most, what will happen while interacting with the world? It will move on or you will move on. How quickly you come to resolve to that bottom line. From there, once you understand, whatever be the impact, how will that impact you? Whatever be the resultant, how will it impact you? Or whatever you are representing, whatever you are responsible for. And once that is clear, there is fearlessness. There is non-anxiety, non-pressured. Right? That is the application of it. There is a kathaṃ syurnityajñānasya, how can it take complete control of my life? Or me the being, how can it take over? If somebody says, I have been hurt severely by what? My dream buffalo. It came and stabbed me from behind. The horns hit me pretty hard. You are awake. You are talking of a buffalo of the dream world. Or even worse, the horns of a donkey. It is already a dream world, and of a padartha which does not have that lakshana, that has impacted you and you are suffering in the waking world. Is it even a possibility? Once that clarity sets in, you breathe a fresh air. Right? Why am I carrying this pressure? And when people say, oh, in this transient environment in Chinmaya Mission, Hyderabad, there is so much happening. How do you handle the pressure? Kiska pressure? Yeah, there are a lot of happenings, yes. But for it to be allowed, whether it should pressure you or not, whether it should pull you down in that pressure or not, who has to make that decision? I, the conscious being, that realm is different, my existence is different. Knowing that I am always free, always that cherishing that freedom, how will be my approach to it? With that environment internally which is non-pressured, non-anxiety, no regrets, no fears, no doubts, it is, how can we not apply it in our practical? Because all these things, all the transient nature of it belongs to te trayaḥ, to those three, sushupti, swapna and jagrat, whose substantiality is zero. how much of value we have given to all of it. And that value we have pressured on ourselves. See, that those transactional things, there are things that should happen, there are things that should not happen. Not even associate good, bad, ugly or any kind of attribute. They are happenings. Happenings should take us to one direction, it take into other direction. Okay, all those factors which are holding it in the wrong direction, remove those parameters, put it back in the right track, done. There is no personalization of the situation. How can you personalize with the horns of the donkey of the dream? And when you look at it from the other, it looks frivolous. What are we giving value to? You can consider it as valuable when it exists. उसका कोई सत्ता हो तो, if it doesn't have, and then it says value of what? Of a non-existent. It doesn't mean that it is not happening. It is happening, let it happen. Not that direction, okay, change the direction. From that standpoint of absolute freedom and non-pressured environment. Look at life then. Look at the happenings then. Am I getting across? We'll stop here. I plan to actually do the next shloka also. Next two shlokas are in the same vein. But the time has already done. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.